Coming up on Time for Hope.
Those of us who don't feel loved as children, who feel isolated, unwanted, whatever word you want to use, we become prime targets for pedophiles. And the people who come after us aren't strangers in the park.
Join Dr. Freda Cruz, licensed professional counselor, and her guests as they provide practical solutions to real-life problems on Time for Hope.
Welcome to Time for Hope, a faith-based mental health program. Today, my guest and I will be discussing a very relevant but rarely publicly discussed subject. I am joined today by best-selling author Cecil Murphey and a recent book that he has written titled When a Man You Love Was Abused, A Woman's Guide to Helping Him Overcome Childhood Sexual Molestation. Cecil has chosen to go public with his own story of childhood sexual abuse and how it changes one's life forever. It followed him into adult life and has affected his relationships with women in general and especially with his wife. Childhood sexual abuse for both males and females is a painful betrayal, but there is hope, and Cecil has done an excellent job of discussing the pain, but offering hope of recovery and freedom. Stay with us. And Cecil, it's great having you on Time for Hope.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think you're a very brave man, first of all, to write about this subject, and secondly, to appear on an international television show talking about it.
Well, I think it's time for this to come out. It took me 6 years to get a publisher to buy that book. Even after they started looking, it still took them 2 years to put it out. They were just so, everyone was just so afraid of the topic.
Especially when it comes to males. I know that we don't hear a lot publicly about female childhood sexual abuse, but we hear less, but we've been hearing more lately, breaking through the news, of course, regarding the Catholic priest, but it goes on in all denominations. We cannot just lay it on their shoulders, right, so to speak. We had, you know, a well-known pastor that was caught in something similar, the homosexuality, or we've had several caught up in homosexuality, but there have been some caught and just recently are reported that were not Catholic priests, but were pastors of large churches that had sexually abused some of the young men in their congregation.
And there probably will be more, because men are now getting the freedom to talk
about it.
Yes.
So what you're saying is it's been going on.
Oh, yes.
It's just, and I know that too. Of course, I learned that in my counseling practice real quick, like. Yes. And it's a common occurrence even among fathers and sons. And I don't think people want to admit that.
And even mothers and sons.
Mothers and sons. It might actually be more frequent with mothers and sons.
Yeah, but you know, that's one that's hard to talk about, because there's this mother-child bond which is so strong, and there's this fierce loyalty to mothers. And yet at the same time, when they take advantage of you and abuse you, and it's hard to know what's abuse and what's just affection.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it doesn't go all the way to the sexual act between a mother and a son. It's emotional, what they refer to it as emotional sexual abuse. It can get very, very close, but not cross the line, but it still harms a boy emotionally and mentally.
Let me give you an example. A female relative abused me when I was a child. It was just fondling, that kind of thing, nothing more than that. But all through my life, she just stayed with me till I was in my teens, and she would hug me, and she'd just throw her whole body into mine, and she would tell me explicitly sexual jokes, and just those kind of innuendos that may not be overtly sexual abuse, but it was pretty close to it.
Pretty close to it, and the damage is there.
The damage, exactly right.
So it leaves some of the same symptoms behind,
right,
and some of the same pain and shame that goes with sexual abuse, doesn't it?
That's right.
So what it means is, as parents, and especially mothers we're talking about right now, we just have to hew the line and keep it straight that we're the parent, they're the child, and there are lines that are not to be crossed.
Yeah, and the woman, the relative who sexually abused me, I learned much later that she had been sexually assaulted by her father when she was a child. So, in a way, that's kind of a natural sort of, it doesn't excuse it, but it did help me to understand why she was the way she was.
Now, Cecil, would you say that shame is the outstanding emotion and probably brings the fear of telling what has happened to one?
Yeah, shame as well as the inability to trust. But certainly, I think you're absolutely right, shame. And particularly, I think, with males more than females, because, see, we live in such a homophobic culture that if I talk about it, somebody may think I'm really gay, or there's something wrong with me, or that I ask for it, those kinds of things. Yeah, I think shame is probably the most significant one. Certainly in my life it was.
And then, of course, the trust factor. You named some other things, the feeling different than other boys, since you were the male that was abused, and a sense of isolation and loneliness. Did you do that yourself? I know that you said you did not remember the sexual abuse until what age were you?
I was 51. There was an old man that we rented a room to, a pedophile, we didn't know that word then, who abused me and my sister, and she told and I didn't. But I had no conscious memories of this for many years, but the emotional level was still there.
The problems were still there that came from it, such as relating to your wife, and that's a lot of the focus of your book.
Yeah, and so even though I didn't consciously remember what had happened, the symptoms were still there. And I did feel different, and I felt lonely. In fact, here's the thing I think here's something I've learned in recent years, is that those of us who don't feel loved as children, who feel isolated, unwanted, whatever word you want to use, we become prime targets for pedophiles. And the people who come after us aren't strangers in the park. These are usually people that we wouldn't ordinarily trust. That's what makes it so awful.
Maybe even exposure, need for affection and companionship too.
Right.
You brought that out of your book. I thought that was one of the real highlights of your book, getting under the cover, so to speak, as to how are they chosen? How do the predators choose their victims, so to speak? And you say it's usually very needy children.
Not usually. I think they
always,
are. Well,
always.
Maybe not always, but the ones that I know, that I've talked to who were survivors, they're needy. We all need to be loved. We all need affection. And if we don't get it in a healthy way, we will get it in unhealthy ways. And an unhealthy way is some predator sees this lonely kid, and it's like a magnet drawn right to him.
They can pick them out too. They're good at that. And then, of course, that's where the false guilt comes in that the victim feels, isn't it?
Oh, sure.
Because you get something from it. A need is being met in an aberrant way, but it's still being met, isn't it?
Yeah, and and the thing that makes it so terrible is, when you stimulate parts of the body, it feels good.
You can't, that's just a natural response, isn't it?
When you're 5, 6, 7 years old, you don't understand that. And so because you respond, you think something's wrong with you. Tyler Perry said on the Oprah Winfrey show, he said, "My body betrayed me." And I thought that was very, very well done. And because the body betrays us, we think that means something is wrong with us. And that's when the shame and the guilt start piling on us.
I've had females, females and young women say the same thing, and they have to deal with the guilt that they went along with it at some point because their body had betrayed them, so to speak.
And when you're only 5 or 6, 7 years old, you don't have the maturity to understand any of that, and you're sure there's something wrong with you. What's wrong is you're hurting and you're needy, and you feel lonely, and you want to be loved.
And what's wrong is your predators are evil. And once you're into the atmosphere of that evil, they tell you not to tell anybody. And guess what? You're not going to. Sometimes they threaten you, right? If you tell.
Get threatened, although,
but you don't, even for your own reasons, you don't want to tell anybody, do you?
The old man who abused me, the thing that kept me going back to him, he used to say things to me like, "You're special. I love you. I really love you, like you." And he would bribe me with, he'd put a raspberry jam on saltine crackers to bring me into his room. And there's just somebody who paid attention to me. This guy was affectionate, for his own use, of course. But see, why would I didn't know enough to revolt or push him away. I did. One of my sisters told me later that I did tell my sister who'd been abused. I did tell her once, "Don't go in there. You shouldn't go in there." But I kept going.
And you couldn't go to your parents?
Not my parents. And that's true with a lot of boys. My father was an alcoholic. My mother just wasn't open to hear me. My mother was, in many ways, a very cold, indifferent woman.
Yeah. I've had clients and others say that they could not trust. If they did go to their parent and the parent didn't believe them or refused to believe them, some parents actually have known it was going on and wouldn't let them tell them the truth. It happens very often with stepfathers and stepdaughters. I had a lot of that in counseling also.
Yes, I'm sure.
And then the mother, she seems to be okay in the relationship, so she doesn't want to mess up her relationship with her husband, so to speak. So she lets it go on. It's a terrible betrayal, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And the figures are, conservative figures is 1 in 6 boys, but we think it's a lot higher than that, probably more like 1 in 3 or 1 in 4. All we do know is this, that there are a lot of boys being abused, and even if one is abused, that's one too many. But we need to, the more we can open this to the world and let people talk about it, I think the more men will talk about it.
Because we're going to come back and talk about recovery, and that's one of the things that must take place. We must come face to face with the truth of what and the reality of what has happened to us, right? I also want to ask you, and we probably will have to leave that coming back off break, and that is, when your memories did surface, how did you know they were real since you had repressed them?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question, and we need to get that question out. How you determined they were real and not false memories since they were held and repressed down for so long. And so we'll pick that up when we come back. And then we'll go into recovery and the freedom that you're enjoying today. And we will be right back.